I would want to say no straight up.
But what's the difference between earning a high GPA and not wanting to give it away, but then earning a lot of money and also not wanting to give that away?
Well, I feel like the difference is that you study for your grades, right? And grades often reflect how much time you spend studying. But
You gotta work pretty hard to become a millionaire.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. In this video, we're going to watch a man on the street interview, interviewing woke students that are pro-socialism until it affects them. This is hilarious. Let's get
The Phillips with Campus Reform. Today we're at Florida International University talking to students about their opinions of socialism and if they'd support a socialist GPA policy. Would they be willing to share their high GPA with people that have a low GPA? Because after all, it's all about equality. Which would you rather have in America, socialism or capitalism?
I would say socialism.
How do you view the word socialism, favorably or unfavorably?
I guess I would go with favorably.
Like, I have family in Europe. They go to college for free. Their healthcare is paid for. They don't have to worry about it at all.
I favor that over capitalism.
Okay, got it.
I also think I favor that, like, socialism over capitalism.
socialism is more geared toward like helping the people in your, the governed.
I'd rather people have that same opportunity. There's a lot of excess in America.
The main idea of socialism being that people at the top are doing their fair share to help people at the bottom, trying to prevent disparity of income and trying to prevent excess, as you called it. So on campus, if there's a GPA disparity where there's people at the bottom with a poor GPA, would you support a policy where people at the top spread the wealth and give that GPA to people at the bottom?
Help them get a better GPA. I'm all for helping. I wouldn't give let me just give you some of my points.
But it's about being fair, right? We got to help people at the bottom.
I've lost a lot of sleep, so I don't know if I will be fair.
It's hard. I guess it would be kind of like hypocritical for me to say no.
That's completely different.
How is it different?
Because I'm studying all day for my grade.
What do you mean by sharing it? Like literally, like giving them a chunk of my GPA?
Yep.
Dang.
I would want to say no straight up.
But what's the difference between earning a high GPA and not wanting to give it away, but then earning a lot of money and also not wanting to give that away?
Well, I feel like the difference is that you study for your grades, right? And grades often reflect how much time you spend studying. But
You gotta work pretty hard to become a millionaire.
I mean, I'm not denying that fact either, but for the regular working person,
Do you think there's a similarity between earning your salary and maybe not wanting to give it away to people that aren't working to earn it? And same thing with the GPA where you earn it and you say, well, I don't necessarily want to give it to anyone who might not be working for it.
Right. I think it's just that whole sense of thinking that no one's going to work for it.
I mean, I sacrifice a lot to get my GPA. I don't go out as much as I'd like to, but that's for something like a greater goal in the future, the way I see it. So no, I wouldn't sacrifice my own things, like sacrifice my own time to help somebody else who didn't want to make those same sacrifices.
Guys, if you don't mind smashing that thumbs up button for your boy, really does help me out. And also, if this is not your first time watching one of the videos and you're not a subscriber yet, hopefully this will be the video in which I can earn your subscription. Let's get back to the video.
There's some people who are in the bottom, but they really are working. And there's some people who are in the bottom and they deserve that poor GPA.
Kind of like people making money with their income.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like some people. Let's not throw shade.
But isn't it about helping the less fortunate?
Basically profiting off of my work for you. So who's really the bad guy here?
I don't think that'd be a good idea because then you're taking away from people that earn that grade. And what about the ones that aren't really working hard for their grades? So they're just going to get something they don't really deserve.
Got it. And do you think it's similar with your salary?
Yeah, I definitely do.
No, that's the complete opposite of meritocracy.
Okay.
The complete opposite. That's awful.
I don't think they're comparable because your GPA is not directly linked to your quality of life necessarily.
But you still have to earn it the same way you'd have to earn a salary, right?
Well, I don't think most rich people in this country necessarily earn it. Much of that money is inherited. Much of that money, is made from the stock market, which they're not actually working for that. They're pressing a button behind a computer for that. I mean...
Well, then there would be no point to having a GPA because then if everyone has the same, then there's no metric, right?
But it's all about fairness, right?
Well, is it fair? Look at it. I look at it this way, right? Is it fair for everyone to have the same outcome or to have the same opportunity, right? For me, having the same opportunity is what is fair, right? Not the same outcome, right? Because if I work harder than you and I get a better result, then it is only fair that I get a better grade or I get a better opportunity than you, right?
Everything should be merit-based. Best man or woman for the job gets the job. List of criterias, the best person gets it. If it happens to be all black lesbians, so be it. But when we talk about socialism versus capitalism, like the European countries that these kids are mentioning about are not socialist countries. Canada, even though it has some socialized healthcare, is not a socialist country. So the same goes for these European countries. They're still capitalist countries. And the stuff is not free. Like, do you know how much taxes some of these countries pay? I'm sure these students would want all the benefits, but definitely don't want to pay the high taxes. All these kids think that capitalism is based on greed, right? They think, oh, the people have all the money at the top, they're so greedy, and then they think that socialism is based on human need and it's so nice. But that's absolutely wrong. It's so backwards, actually. I mentioned this in a video a couple days ago, but if you go on Amazon, there'd be thousands of products, right? Millions upon millions of products on there probably. I don't know what the amount is, but there's a lot. And these products, these offers are the work of people who believe that they have something that you need. And if they're right, they will prosper. They're going to make some money. And if they're wrong, they won't. And that's how free market capitalism works. At its basic core, it encourages people to improve their lives by satisfying the needs of others. To put it simply, no one starts a business or makes something or designs something or provides a service for themselves. No, people start businesses in order to make money or to fill a void in a market or to help somebody with a pain point that they have, right? Provide a service. But at the end of the day, it is to make money. And it is very hard to build a successful business. Most startup businesses fail. That's why when these students say, oh, I work hard for my grades, it's different. It's not different. If you look at a company, when the CEO of a company, say, I don't know, McDonald's or Burger King, some restaurant chain anyway, they spend millions and millions of dollars every year trying to determine what customers would want, what their customers would like, what they need to change, what doesn't work, what works best, and they need to do it quickly and fast because it's a competitive freaking market. And the consumer, me and you guys, we have the ultimate power in a capitalist economy. We vote with our dollars. In a socialist economy, the government has the ultimate power. It's what you don't want. It never works. The government decides what you get from a limited supply, and it decides how much of that supply should exist. Instead of having like millions and millions of people making millions of decisions about what they want, we have a few government elites in socialism that decide what people should have and how much of it they should have. So pretty much you will have nothing and you will be happy. So it's not surprising that the government always gets it wrong in socialist countries. If you ever notice any country at the late stage of socialism, when it's about to go right down the shitter, and no pun intended here, they run out of stuff like toilet paper. Of course, that's not a problem for the elites or the people that are at the top, but for all of those at the bottom, the average man and woman in society, you're out of luck, buddy. Look at Venezuela, for example. Once the richest country in South America, it was the most recent example of being a victim of socialism. It was a thriving, prosperous country, and socialism drove that economy right into the toilet. And those European countries that these young people are talking about, they don't have socialist economies. They say people seem pretty happy there. Why can't we have that? They have free healthcare, free college, stronger unions. And the answer is, again, because those countries are not socialist countries. They have some socialized healthcare. They might have some government benefits that we don't have, but also that comes at a price. It comes at a price of a very much higher tax bracket. And when you look at countries like Scandinavian countries, they argue about this all the time and they vote on this all the time on an individual basis to see if it's still working. And many countries have, let's say, some socialized healthcare, and they'll have also, for the people who have more money, a little bit of private healthcare. So you can choose. And the reason they're not socialist countries is because you need a free capitalist market, a free capitalist economy, so you can produce enough wealth in that country in order to sustain this quote-unquote free stuff that is not free, that's paid for by taxes. You hear about the Canadian healthcare a lot. That is how it's sustained, is by having a free capitalist economy. You put all the work ahead of time, you pay your taxes, and then you can get the quote-unquote free stuff after. If you don't have capitalism, you become freaking Venezuela. The more capitalism you have, the less socialism you need. Kind of nice how that works, isn't it? Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that thumbs up button, everybody. Consider subscribing to the channel, help it grow. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, everybody.